Hey y'all, this is like my fourth time trying to record this video. Kids. So I'm going through a huge transition in my life right now. My family, my husband, my marriage, my life in general. And through this transition, it's very important that I stay true to who I am. It's very important that I don't allow this transition and the circumstances and what I'm seeing naturally to get me out of my element. Why? Because I'm in a place where I'm finally getting back into my element. Meaning that I have to stay true to who I am. And why I'm talking about this is because I was listening to a podcast and there was a mom that was being interviewed on the podcast. And she's a businesswoman, and she was asked how is she handling motherhood, because she started her business and kind of built her empire before she had children. And she said, she mentioned postpartum depression, and she said that she didn't deal with postpartum depression because she stayed true to who she was. And when I heard her say that, I was like, wow. It's like I saw my whole life flash before me, like the past and just before I had kids. And even when I had kids, I see my whole life flash before me. Why? Because I realized how I never stayed true to myself. And that's why at 30 years old, almost 31, I'll be 31 in March, I'm just now getting back to who I was. Like, I lost myself in high school, and I'm not blaming my parents, but it's important to have people around you that encourage you to be who you are. I didn't have that. So when I got in a relationship, it just kept going. I kept losing myself. Then I had a kid, and then I got married, and then I had 2 more kids, and I just kept on losing myself. I was adjusting to having kids and trying to please my parents and trying to please my husband or boyfriend at the time. I was adjusting to that, trying to make my life work for everybody else instead of adjusting and still making it work for me and staying true to who I am. So it really made me realize how far gone I was as far as who I am. Like, I have journals and so much stuff that reminds me of who I was and who I still am. And I could look at those journals every year and it still wasn't enough to get me back to my glow, because it was enough to get me back to my glow because I was still adjusting to everybody else. And that's what she said. She said she stayed true to who she was. The fact that she became a mom did not change who she was. It might change her perspective on life a little bit. She might have to tweak a little things and make a little adjustments, but she didn't stop what she was doing. She didn't stop what she loved. She didn't put her passion in her business and everything that she had already built behind her because she became a mom. And that's what I did. I just put everything on the back burner. I would always push push me back. And if I think about it now, like, if I just kept pushing myself forward and saw the changes and whatever was happening in my life as what word am I looking for? As a boost to stay true to who I am even more, I can imagine where I would be right now in life. And it's so easy to lose. I realize how easy it is to lose ourselves and forget who we are. And we really cannot afford to do that, especially when we are responsible for other little people. Especially when we are responsible for like our spouse, like who we're married to and who we're taking care of, and other people that we want to encourage and inspire. Like, we cannot afford to lose who we are. And when I say lose who we are, I mean who God purposed us to be. Why did God put me here on this earth? Why did God bring me here on March 5th, 1987? I don't know what time I was born, but why did he bring me here? He didn't bring me here to be fearful, doubtful, do what everybody else is doing, do not conform to the things of this world. Like, he didn't bring me here to conform. And I've always known that. Like, I don't fit in with everybody else. I don't fit in the mold that my parents wanted me to be in. I always knew that, but because I didn't want to disappoint anybody, I disappointed myself. I chose disappointing myself so I didn't disappoint anyone else. So now that I'm going through this transition in my life right now, a huge transition that I really believe is going to change my life and my family's life, I'm excited, but I'm excited, but I'm scared at the same time. Oh, yeah. Go get your pacifier. I'm excited, but I'm scared at the same time. But this transition is something that has to happen. And I say it has to happen because that's me staying true to who I am, staying true to my glow. And this time around, not forgetting who I am, not letting go of who God created me to be for my husband and for my children and for his kingdom in general, just to please somebody else. That's not what it's about. Like, I'd rather sacrifice relationships to make sure I am who I am and stay who I am versus trying to be who somebody else wants me to be. I've done that my entire life. Like, my son is 7. And that's when it really started for me. The journey really started for me is when I had my son. And then when my daughter came, Cadence, and she's about to be 4, I realized too, I'm like, man, I did a big evaluation of my life because I had her in February, and then a couple weeks later it was my birthday, and I just had this time. And at that time I was in postpartum depression. I dealt with depression with all of my children, and I didn't even know it, and I didn't even realize it. Well, a couple years after my Cadence, my second baby, I did receive that I had dealt with postpartum depression, and it just continued to go on into years. Like, I don't know how long postpartum depression lasts, but it lasted a long time for me, and I didn't even realize that was what I was dealing with. But it's all because we don't stay true to who we are as mothers. Just because we become a mom doesn't mean that we drop everything. Like, my love for writing, my love for doing this and speaking, my love for sharing knowledge, my love for encouraging and inspiring other women to be who they are and do what's on their hearts and in their minds and bring their ideas to reality. That's not supposed to stop because I become a mom. Because what am I going to teach my children? What am I going to teach my children when they get older? All I could say is, if I don't change what I'm doing now, all I would be able to say is, well, I can't tell you what to do, but I suggest. I would rather they see me doing what it is that I'm supposed to be doing on this earth, and then they can live through that example. So that's why the glow up is so important for me. The glow up is just all about staying true to who I am, and that's how you do it. And if you've lost yourself and you don't know what's going on, you don't know how to get back, because I was there too. You reflect back on who you were before the changes started happening in your life, before you lost yourself. No matter how far back that was, you go back that far and you think about who you were. If you have journals and notes and stuff everywhere, maybe you've kept stuff from high school or elementary school or whatever, there's always some seed that was planted that shows who we are, and we've just stopped the growth. We stopped the blooming and took the light away from the blooming because we adjusted to life around us instead of like having life adjust to us. Thank you. So that's how you go back to it. You just go back to who you were. Like, for me, I started seeking God so much just to get back to who I am. And I know that in order for me to have been able to do that and remember who I was, I had to go get in prayer and seek him, because God has the ultimate plan, the strategy, the roadmap for our lives. Go. He has the ultimate strategy and plan for our lives. Like, I got kids, y'all. It don't stop just because I got kids. if I have a word, see, she running and she fell. Mm-hmm. It doesn't stop. Like, what man? Like, can your husband really tell you, oh, this is why you were here, this is why you were born? Maybe God can speak through him and tell him what it is or give you some hints, but at the end of the day, You have to go seek God. You have to get in prayer to get back to who you are and remember who you are. And that's how you do it. Like, so for me, I go back and I reflect on my journals. I go back and reflect on the things that I've written. I got journals from 10 years ago almost that I have ideas and things in. And when I do reflect on those, I'd be like, man, Crystal, you're still the same person. This is obviously what you were created for. And once again, I'll mention like the Facebook Messenger. Like not Messenger, but Facebook period will remind you of things from years ago. And even when I see things like that, I was like, man, God, you're amazing because you constantly remind me of who I am and who you've created me to be. Yes, those are tongs, and she's putting them in my hair. Yes, I see. And it's important because just look at your children. And sometimes that's not enough for us moms, but look at your kids. And this is why you have to remain true to who you are, because you have to teach them to remain true to who they are, especially in the world that we live in today. Like, there's so much going on that if they don't have that example, they're going to turn to the celebrities, to the role models, to the internet. And you know what they're showing on the internet. Like, I don't want my kids to aspire to be as far as business strategy and stuff like that, they can aspire to be the Kardashians, but the things that some of the things that the Kardashians do, no. But I study them and I look at Kris, and hey, I study them and I look at Kris and I admire her work ethic. They can learn from their work ethic and take tips like that. But I don't want my kids to turn to the internet and to other people to get the wisdom that they need. I want them to be able to get that from me. And that's also another reason why and how you remain true to yourself, because you have to remember that my kids are watching. My kids are watching me, and I got to do what I need to do for them. So even if I have to lose relationships and I have to let this go and I have to sacrifice that, that's how you do it. So recap. How do you stay true to you? How do you stay true to who you are in motherhood? In marriage, period. Remember, go back and reflect on who you were before you became a mom. Go back and reflect on who you were before you lost yourself. Because like I said, I started losing myself in high school, before I had kids, before I got married. I started losing myself then because I didn't have guidance. It's like I knew who I was, but it was more important for me to please other people and, like I said, my parents. But go back, reflect, look at notes, go back on Facebook. Reflect on pictures. Whatever it is that you love to do, do it. Whatever it is you know that you're purpose for, do it. And if you have a problem figuring that out, it's time to get to it. It's time to pray. It's time to just start doing things, because obviously you will not know what your purpose for if you're not doing anything. If you're just going to a 9-to-5 job, come home, feed your kids, do homework, that could be just your purpose, but it's way more than that. Like, God, I don't believe that, God created us for way more than just being parents. Because we haven't been parents all of our lives, like he didn't create us he created everyone to be fruitful and multiply, of course. But that's not all that he created us for. So if you feel like, oh, I'm just supposed to be a mom, I'm supposed to work and just take care of them, it's way more than that. That's just a part of our responsibilities. That's just a part of our responsibilities. That has nothing to do with purpose and what you're supposed to be here to do. So I'm sorry for the noise. I'm sorry for the girls, the kids. I just had it on my heart, so I needed to come talk to you guys. So remember to glow. Remember to affirm yourself. Remember that you find your glow when you stay true to who you are. No matter the situation, no matter the circumstance, stay true to who you are. Just because things start to change and a big thing happens in your life, you don't lose yourself. You make that situation and those changes adjust to you, not you adjust for them. Because when you adjust for things around you, I hope you're understanding this. That's how you lose yourself. That's how you lose yourself. So I'm out. Follow me on the Mommy Glow Up. And I love you guys. Sorry for the noise once again. But stay true to who you are and remember to glow.